I had no clue that I would be making this type of discussion video today. But unfortunately, I have to make this discussion video to talk about someone that meant a lot, not just to me, but to millions of anime fans, millions of Pokemon fans, all throughout the world. I've been out about all day yesterday, so I haven't really had the time to really look at the internet until just about an hour ago. I finally am able to hop on and look at Reddit and just see what's going on. And the first thing I see when I open Reddit, all over every single subreddit, is the unfortunate news that Rachel Lewis had passed away on Saturday at the age of 46 due to breast cancer. Now, for, I guess you could say, the normies, they probably don't know who Rachel Lewis is. But for the anime fans, and especially the Pokemon fans, and especially this picture that I have here, it pretty much gives it away as to who Rachel Lewis was. Rachel Lewis was the original English dub voice actress for Jessie from Team Rocket, and also the voice actress of one of the most iconic Pokemon characters of all time and one of the most iconic anime characters of all time, Misty. When I was a kid, and I made a video about Pokemon before on my channel. I'll put a link down below. I've actually, I believe, made 2 videos about Pokemon on my channel. I'll put both of them down below in the description in case you have not seen them. I did one talking about when they announced that Ash Ketchum was retiring from the show. And I also did one about the final episode of Ash Ketchum. Again, links down below in the description for those videos if you want to check them out. I have been a Pokemon fan for a large majority of my life. Despite not liking the direction the show went the past few years and pretty much falling out of love with the show, I still had respect for the show. I still had respect for the original cast of the show, that being Veronica Taylor, Eric Stewart, and Rachel Lewis. And I could go back and watch those episodes with them in it and just basically relive my childhood, because I grew up on people like Veronica Taylor, Eric Stewart, and Rachel Lewis. Those 3 brought to many people's homes all throughout the world some of the most iconic voices in anime history. When I was a kid, when I was a child, and I'm not ashamed to say this, and I know people are going to laugh all you want. I don't care. When I was a kid, when I saw Misty for the first time, I fell in love with Misty's character. She was my first ever anime crush, ever, when I was a kid. The older I got, obviously, I don't have the same feelings that I did toward Misty, but I still have a lot of love and respect for her as a character. And I also had a lot of love and respect for the person who voiced her, Rachel Lewis. I know that they bounced around several different voice actresses after 2006. They brought in different people to voice Misty here and there. But to me, and of course, they brought in a completely different voice actress when Misty came back during Sun and Moon and during Pokemon Chronicles, which that was the name of the last show that Ash Ketchum was in. To me, there's only one Misty. There's only one Jessie. And that was Rachel Lewis. Not only was she the voice of those two characters, she was the voice of Jigglypuff. You know, the Jigglypuff. You know that song? She sung that. So she has done some of the most iconic voices in Pokemon history. And she's not just famous with Pokemon, she's famous with other animes too. But obviously her most legendary work is with Pokemon. This absolutely fucking sucks. Not just for me, but for millions of anime fans, for millions of Pokemon fans. Because we grew up with people like Rachel Lewis. We grew up turning on the television on Saturday morning cartoons, whether it be Kids WB, whether it be Cartoon Network, hell, even when Pokemon flipped over to the Disney Channel for a short time. We would turn on these channels on Saturday morning to watch, well, not me when it came to the Disney Channel, because I was in my adult years at that point. But back in the day, I used to turn on Kids WB and watch Pokemon every Saturday morning. And Rachel Lewis was there doing the voice of Misty and Jessie and bringing one of my favorite characters in anime history to my television set, to my home. About 10 years ago, this is back when I had a Twitter account, which I don't have the Twitter account anymore. This was my very first Twitter account. I deleted it back in like 2017 because around that point I stopped using Twitter. I just didn't have any purpose for the Twitter account, so I ended up deleting it. And I wish I would have saved the screenshots of this conversation I had with her. But I actually had a conversation with Rachel Lewis herself on Twitter in DMs because she had her DMs open on her Twitter, and I know some people are going to say you really shouldn't do that. Well, I was a lot younger back then, and I guess you could say a bit naive. And I decided to message her. I said, "Hello, hi Rachel Lewis, big fan of yours. Thank you for being such an inspiration for so many people. I loved your work in Pokemon as Misty and Jessie, and thank you very much for basically making my childhood great. Thank you for making so many other people's childhoods great. And I wish you the very best of luck in the future with whatever you decide to do in the future." You know, nothing too big or anything, just basically a thank you message. She actually messaged me back. And she basically said thank you, for saying all this. And she asked me, "Hey, is there anything else that you would like to ask me?" And me and her actually ended up getting into a bit of a conversation in Twitter DMs. And I ended up asking her thoughts on current Pokemon at the time. This is when Serena first came in. This is when Pokemon XY first started out. And they were starting that Ash and Serena shipping. And I asked her thoughts on that. And she said that it was pretty intriguing that Ash now has an official love interest in the show. And while she wasn't really keeping up with the show that much now and then, I mean, this is back in like 2014. So she had only been gone from the anime for a couple of years at that point, for about 8 years. And she said while she didn't really keep up with it that much, she did hear about it and she did say it was intriguing. And she did say that she actually might start checking out X and Y, which I don't know if she did. I don't know if she did, but she told me in a Twitter conversation in DMs that she would check the show out. So if she did, that's pretty freaking cool. I asked her, do you have any sort of resentment toward the TPCI, the Pokemon Company, for not bringing you back after they fired you and Veronica and Eric back in 2006? And she basically said yes. In a way, she feels like she is the only one that could, and not in a very disrespectful type of way, but she basically said that she feels like she's the only one that could really voice Misty. Like Jessie, that's one thing, but to her, when people think of Misty, they think of Rachel Lewis. They don't think of other people voicing Misty. They think of Rachel Lewis. And I ended up asking her if they ever called you and asked you to come back and voice characters in the show again, would you do it? And she said, absolutely, in a heartbeat. Yes. I would even do it for free. That's how much I loved doing the voices. I even asked her about Ash and Misty and people shipping them together. And she actually told me that, yeah, she gets that a lot from people. Honestly, she laughs at it. She thinks it's funny. She thinks it's cute that people ship Ash and Misty together. And she actually ended up telling me that there was an original plan way back in the day to actually have Ash and Misty get together after the first movie. But because of the popularity of the show and how big it got, it blew up and blew up and blew up and blew up in popularity that they basically said, hey, let's just keep the show going. Let's see what happens. Well, here we are, 25 plus years later, the show's still going on. Ash Ketchum's gone. Misty's gone. Brock's gone. Ash and Misty didn't get together. They didn't have a kid. They didn't have a family. So much for all of that. But I had a very, very friendly, very nice conversation with her in Twitter DMs. Very respectful, very sweet, very wholesome. I think we talked for like 30 minutes. And that was the only conversation I ever had with her. I thanked her for the conversation. I said, I wish you the best of luck wherever you go. And God bless. And that was the first and only time I ever got to talk to her. And the years went by and I haven't kept up with Rachel Lewis. I don't know what she's been doing as of late. I did hear from some of the comments on the anime subreddit that she still was voicing anime characters, but in a very minor role. Like she was only doing like limited voice actress roles. So she was still in anime, but she wasn't doing it as much as she did way back in the day. And now, unfortunately, I know why. And it's because, unfortunately, she had breast cancer. And unfortunately, it has taken her life on Saturday at the age of 46. I'm hurt. I'm upset. I'm on the verge of tears because this hits me on a personal level. Misty will always be one of my favorite anime characters ever. Now, I'm not saying that Misty was the perfect anime character. The show could have definitely done a lot more with her in terms of her story, in terms of her character, but for what it is, I love Misty in the show. Loved her character. I will always love her character. And even Jessie, too. Like, especially the episodes that were centered around Team Rocket, especially when they got into some personal stuff that was going on behind the scenes with Jessie and James. Like, some of those episodes, man, they got real fucking personal. Like, kind of depressing for Pokemon. going back and rewatching these episodes with Misty, with Rachel Lewis in it, it's gonna feel different now. Veronica Taylor's still with us. Eric Stewart's still with us. But unfortunately, Rachel is not. And I haven't gone back to watch old episodes of Pokemon in quite some time. As a matter of fact, the last time I actually watched old school Pokemon with Ash, Brock, and Misty was when me and my friend Orbital Sigma were doing movie watch-alongs. And as much as he pooed all over the films, as much as he doesn't really like the Pokemon anime, he thinks the Pokemon anime is extremely overrated. He did say he understands that there is a large, very, very large demographic of people who love the Pokemon anime. And he said that he does understand that Pokemon did have an impact on a lot of people. Okay, I'm going to have to re-record the final part of this video because CapCut unfortunately fucked up the audio here at the end, and I hope it doesn't mess it up again here. But in closing, I just want to say thank you, Rachel Lewis, for not just the childhood memories that you gave me, but the childhood memories that you gave millions of people all over the world. Your contributions to Pokemon will never be forgotten. Your contributions to anime will never be forgotten. And most importantly, your contributions to our childhood will never be forgotten. I used to get so mad back in the day if I missed an episode of Pokemon when it came on Saturday morning. Because back in the day before I had DVR and stuff, if I missed an episode of Pokemon, I had to wait until the very next week. Unless, of course, they ran a marathon, which sometimes they did. But usually I would have to wait until the very next week. I used to get so fucking mad if I missed an episode of Pokemon. Oh, I used to get so mad. Boy, oh boy, how times have changed. Now I can go online and go on freaking pirate websites and watch all the Pokemon I want if I desire to. Which I am going to be going back and watching some old school Pokemon, especially the episodes with Ash, Brock, and Misty. I'm going to go back and rewatch some old classic Pokemon. I'm not going to go back and rewatch all of it because that's way too much to go back and watch. But I'm going to go back and watch maybe at least the first season just for nostalgia. Again, in closing, thank you, Rachel Lewis. Godspeed. Rest in peace. And as always, fuck cancer. Whether you like the Pokemon anime, whether you don't like the Pokemon anime, there's one thing that we can't agree on. Fuck cancer. Cancer has took a lot of great people out of this world. And unfortunately, it has taken Rachel Lewis as well. Goodbye, Rachel. We love you. Edgerunner Gaming HD, signing out.
You know, there's another place that needs your protection too. Don't forget about Sarah, her family, and the kingdom.
Tachika!